A very warm welcome to all of you to today's session where we're going to discuss about the different EC2 instance types. So we have seen how to create an EC2 server and what are the different aspects that you select when creating an EC2 server, but what are the different types of EC2 servers? That's what we are going to discuss today. Whenever you are creating and using an EC2 server, there are different parameters that you're selecting, right? So like we had discussed, even if you're using a personal laptop or a computer, when you're going to purchase it, you think about the different configurations that you can purchase, like what would be the hard disk size, what would be the RAM, amount of RAM that you would have, what would be the CPU. So when you decide all these different components, so in the same way in a server also you are selecting the different configuration that you require, and based on the applications that you're going to run or how you're going to use the server, the configurations may need to be different in terms of what type of CPU do you want, how much RAM do you want, how much hard disk do you want, what type of hard disk do you want. So when you are putting all these things together, you can create different configurations of systems, and that's what we are going to see today. So if you remember, we had seen how do you create a server. So I come to my AWS console here and I click on EC2. Right, so EC2 is the Elastic Compute Cloud Service that we have on AWS, which we use to create the virtual machines. So when I come to this page and I click on Launch Instance here, it gives me an entire page, kind of a form which I need to fill up to create my virtual machine, right? So here there are a lot of different things, like you can give the server a name, you can select the operating system you want, you select the hardware configurations that you want, then you select security related things, network related, hard disk, all these things you select and you create your server. So in this particular topic, what we're going to learn is this section called as instance types. When you create a free tier account, for the first year, AWS gives you certain services which you can use for free up to a certain limit. So we know that when you're creating an instance, you can create a T2.micro instance type, which has one virtual CPU and 1 GB of memory, and you can use this for up to 750 hours per month, right? So if you go above and beyond that, these are the pricing that you pay for, let's say for on-demand windows, you pay 0.0162 US dollars per hour, and so on and so forth for the operating systems. So now if you see, when I select the instance type here, you have something called as T2.micro, you have T2.small, you have T2.large. When you're selecting the different instance types, the CPU and the memory associated with that type changes, right? And because you select hard disk option separately later on, so here you're selecting only the CPU and memory. So these are the T2 types, T2, T3 types. So this is generally under the T type of instance types, right? And then when I scroll down, you have another type called a C. So here you have C5 large, C5.12x large. So these are the different types of under C. So these are the different types of, or you can say different categories of EC2 instances. And what do they mean? What do they signify? So if I come here, you see there are different types which are required for different use cases. So in this case, if you see, if I take the first one, you see the series, that is the T series and the M series, they are falling under the general bracket called as general purpose virtual machines. So here you get a balance of your compute power, the memory and the networking, etc. So if you are using them for general purposes like hosting a website or hosting a certain application, or just regular development environments or small databases or something like that, in those cases you can just go and use T series or M series. So in these series you have a very good balance of CPU and memory and networking speeds, everything, so that you have a general good experience. But if you want to utilize it for certain use cases where, like it says here, high performance web servers, or you are using it for certain tasks where there is a lot of compute related tasks, so it's very compute intensive, or you need to do certain tasks which is related to gaming servers where there is a lot of processing. So in those kind of cases, you go for certain virtual machines which are more towards CPU optimized or compute optimized. So if I come here, you can see that here you have the C types as well. So if I go for this seed 5.metal, it says it has 90 virtual CPUs and 192 GB of RAM. Of course, you'll have smaller sizes as well. So if I go for something like C5.large, it has two virtual CPUs and 4 GB of memory. This one has four virtual CPUs and 8 GB of memory. So according to your requirement, what kind of tasks are we running? So based on that, you can select which instance type you want. And there are other instance types as well. So this one is memory optimized. So if you're using certain applications or something like that, like it mentions the use cases here, in memory databases, high performance databases. So anywhere where you are requiring to transfer a lot of data and some type of data processing and all that, certain applications which are very memory intensive, and those kind of cases, you can use the memory optimized. So under this, you have the R series, you have the X series, U series, and Z series. So these series of instance types will ensure that you have a highly optimized memory. Okay, so based on your requirement, you can go in and check what would be the best option for you, and based on that you can select it. So similarly, you have the storage optimized as well. So here you have very high throughput and low latency, so very quickly you can access the data. The read write speed should be very high. So mostly storage optimized ones are always used for databases, because you need that read write speeds to be very high. In case of data analytics and all that, you will use this series. So you just have to go ahead and select which type of series you want, and then you will be able to utilize it for the specific requirement that you have. So in this case, if you see, you have M series here, C series, you have R series, X series, right? So these are all the different series that you have. And you have accelerated computing as well, where the virtual machines will have GPUs, right? And they have GPUs and they have other hardware accelerators. So these are mostly used in machine learning and 3D rendering, scientific simulations, etc. So if you have certain applications where you require the GPUs to be working very hard, you want hardware accelerators and all, in those cases you can use these series called as accelerated computing: P series, G series, F, INF, and TRN series. So based on your requirement, you can select the different types of instances. Now, why do you need this? Again, if you have an application or a requirement where the memory is utilized more compared to the comparative CPU and networks, in that case, if you use a regular instance type like the one that we use mostly, like T series, etc., general purpose one, in that case the system will struggle to give you a very good performance because the memory is not optimized. So if you have an application which is more towards memory optimized requirements, then you go for that, and based on that you can select different types of series that you want. So EC2 instance types give you the advantage that you can choose according to your requirements, so that for your applications or for whatever requirement you have, you get the best possible performance from the virtual machines. So EC2 instance types make sure that whenever you are creating your virtual machines, of course, for demo purposes, for learning purpose, we always use T2.micro, which is included in the free tier. But other than that, whatever projects you're working on or whatever tasks you're working on, make sure that you select the most optimized instance type for your requirement. So that is EC2 instance type. Thank you for watching.